Hey, yo. SuperFlex Fantasy Football Show coming at you. Your favorite Canadian, Kedz the Canuck, live and direct with my guy, the King of Pop, going through another week in the NFL, going through another week in fantasy football. Great to have you guys out there. Thanks for joining the show. And King of Pop, it's been one heck of an interesting week in the NFL. How was it for you, my brother?
Well, not good, number one. Number two, what's interesting is how the injuries are piling up for these different teams and teams having to go out and, like the 49ers. Very, very interesting situation there, which we play, Chicago Bears fans, we played this weekend. They have their number one, number two running back down, and they just went and poached a nice running back who I thought was a really, really, I think a year or two ago was one of the top running backs coming out in the draft, Israel Abakanda, I think is the name.
Abakanda, I think. But, hey, say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. I just they went and picked him up, and I think another guy. I don't think either one of those guys will be active for Sunday, but moving forward, talking about some interesting options. You're talking about a team that's probably, you listen to the fan base. They're like a cow's hair away from actually firing a coach. I don't believe that, but interesting stuff going on in San Francisco. The injuries are piling up everywhere, and you really have to do your deep dive and do your research to make sure that you get some opportunities out there on the waiver wire, which they are there in plenty.
Yeah, I'd just like to speak for all Chicago Bears faithful right now and saying that it would be, we would all be saddened if, the coaching situation in San Francisco went sideways. It would be a terrible thing for us. We'd really be saddened by that.
Yeah, right.
If y'all can smell the sarcasm in all those statements, I'll continue on to talk about the rest of the week in football. Yeah, man, if Shanahan gets let go, it would be a real cool thing to see a certain Mr. Shanahan in navy and orange. But outside of that, they got some problems over in San Francisco. A whole bunch of hurt humanity. Brock Purdy came back. Everybody was happy, and absolutely nothing doing for Brock Purdy, considering there's nobody there to do it with. You know what I mean? Christian McCaffrey got hurt.
It is so funny listening to and watching the Brock Purdy situation, because the entire time I knew that he had just hit a hot streak with a very hot team, healthy, and you can almost put any quarterback in that situation, and that quarterback would flourish. Without the pieces around him, without a healthy offensive line and different things like that, receivers, Brock Purdy should be scanning your groceries at Walmart. Straight up.
You're such a jerk.
That's what he should be doing, man.
Look, I wish I give the kid a little bit better than that. But hey, Kurt Warner used to do stuff like that, and he wound up taking a team to the Super Bowl, and I believe they won. So, that being said, I'm sure there's a special place in Kurt Warner's heart for Brock Purdy, but the rest of us, yeah, anybody probably could have jumped it. Well, anybody except Trey Lance, apparently. I think that's the real answer to this question.
Pretty soon, Kurt Warner's going to need a special place on his insurance coverage, because Purdy ain't going to be nothing. Purdy, I'm telling you, man, that dude, he's not a good quarterback, man. I'm just telling you.
Well, like I say, it's funny you say it. He put up great fantasy, in fantasy football world. He put up great numbers last year. I wish I could deny that. He really did, to the level that even this guy slowed down. And I said, you know what? In one of my leagues, I'm gonna take a flyer on a Brock Purdy as my backup QB, knowing that I really wouldn't. He's behind Joe Burrow. Really wouldn't need to worry about Brock Purdy until much later into the season. And he's really just going to play the one game for me, right? Like, all I need Brock Purdy for was one game. What do you think happened?
Got hurt.
Right before the game I needed him for, of course he got hurt. So he got hurt. I went out, took a flyer on Bo Nix. It worked out. But I'm on to the Purge Purdy situation too. So I'm about to push Purdy right off the ledge and go and grab some of these free agents that we've been talking about here. It is super late into leagues. It's week 14, y'all. And for most of us, that means this is probably the final week you got to make it into the playoffs for whatever leagues you're vying into. So good luck to all of you guys out there. It'll be tough sledding, but you're at that final stretch. That final stretch. Hopefully, you can make your way into the postseason and make yourself some a buck or two. You know what I mean? And speaking of all that, there's my guy Deuce One Effect. Shout out to you. Shout out to Ron Winarski. Deuce One crushed me this week. I had a terrible week in fantasy football, y'all, this week. I'll tell you that much. Outside of the Bears Podcaster League, I lost all my other leagues. I have 4 other leagues. All my other leagues, I got crushed this past week. It was a really heartfelt situation.
Tell us who let you down, man. How about that?
Oh, man. People who let me down this week. We're going to start with me. I'm actually primary culprit. I would have had a little bit of a better showing this week if I did a couple of things. First one being if I started Malik Neighbors, for some reason I left him on my bench. And I think the real reason is just that I was a little bit mystified over this whole Thanksgiving debacle. I'll be frank with you. So that was my bad. I really should have played Malik Neighbors. Would have helped me quite a bit, but it really wouldn't have got me where I needed to go. This week in SuperFlex, I was up against Mo Frugra, and I don't know about the rest of you guys. If this Mo Frugra situation somehow continues on, be careful, you guys. Right? Like I'm just warning the rest of the SuperFlex league right now. Be careful. Mo Frugra's it's less to do with my team and a bit more to do with his. One guy who let me down though this week, and I'll zero in on him. And the reason I'm going to zero in on him is because he's going to have a good week this week, is Will Dissly. So if you had a Will Dissly this week, over the last couple of weeks, you would have noticed he's played really well. This past week, zero burgle. Absolutely nothing happened with Will Dissly. 1 target, no receptions, 0 points. A little bit brutal considering he was in a flex spot for me. I didn't have to play him. And I got Malik Neighbors sitting on a bench right now. That's just 15 points down the drain by way of this guy right here. Facts of the matter is, I believe that they're up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And under normal pretenses, I'd be like, oh, like that might be a problem. Except Kansas City kind of likes to let that tight end thing work. I don't know why. They for the most part, a fair amount of yardage goes through tight ends against the Kansas City Chiefs. So keep your eyes on that. I think it's a good matchup for a Will Dissly. Considering that, I am still going to keep him in a flex spot, but I am also going to move Malik Neighbors back into a place where he can put up a couple of points for me. But that was a major malfunction with my SuperFlex team this week. On the other side, looking at a guy like Mo Frugra, Brock Bowers, yo. I don't know. Man, I'd really initially targeted a guy like Brock Bowers in a couple of leagues. Never wound up picking him up. I just didn't. And he had a 40-point game this past week. All things football are going through Brock Bowers in Las Vegas. So shout out to y'all Raiders fans. Y'all got a real tight end. And I we were well aware of this coming in, right? Like definitely from what we saw in the draft or pre-draft scouting, the kid was lightning in a bottle. There was no two ways about it, and he's proving that in the NFL as well. A little bit tougher to do.
I didn't think he'd get this much usage right away. Number one, number two, I always felt like Brock Bowers is, he just wasn't. He's still, I don't think, built for a long haul success. He's gonna have to work on his body, man. He just, for the amount of targets that he has, it's just a matter of time before the breakdown happens. You know what I mean? So being a rookie, still young, fresh, give it a year or so, man. We'd be talking when is Brock Bowers going to get back on the field if he doesn't get his body right.
Well, like I say, 40-odd points there for Brock Bowers. That really threw a monkey wrench into what I was trying to do this past week. I'll tell you that right now. A little bit of a problem. But he definitely came to play, and I feel like he'll be doing that for the next couple of weeks. He's got a tough matchup this week, though. I'm trying to...
Give me one receiver on the Raiders right now. Give me one guy. Name me one name.
Why would I do that? Is there a receiver on the Raiders?
You don't know him. Nobody.
It's like Jacoby Myers is like the receiver on the Raiders. I wouldn't even talk about. And this is why Brock Bowers got 40 points. You know what I'm saying? So the quarterbacking situation isn't particularly great. The wide receivers aren't particularly great. He's kind of sitting in open space, getting work done. You know what I'm saying? So if they can get him the ball, he'll get some work done, and that makes for good things for Brock Bowers and potentially good things for the Raiders.
Uh-oh. Kedz lost his internet for a second.
Technical difficulties.
We'll just sit back for a second till he gets back.
Oh, there he is.
I'm right there.
Jeez. Craziness. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. I was just saying my dog going crazy. Apparently the internet is going crazy too. Can't win them all. But yeah, man, that's my guy Brock Bowers out there doing his thing. Who else we got? Yeah, we were talking about Raiders receivers. We got Deuce out there. Deuce is saying Myers. This is one guy to talk about. I don't know, man. I wouldn't go picking up any Raiders receivers. If you got Brock Bowers, you got a guy, and that offense is going to go through him. Outside of the running back core, who is also a little bit shaky right now. Where else do we go? Let me share screen with you, the rest of the world here. All right. Big shout outs to our folks at sleeper.com as per norm. I don't give Sleeper enough love. If you guys are, there's a few platforms out there. I'm really starting to lean towards this platform as one of the better platforms. One of the major reasons why is because you get a breakdown of target share. You don't necessarily get that same breakdown in every single platform out there. So keep your eyes peeled on Sleeper. It's really well put together. Not to mention league chat, good conversation piece. We're always chopping it up and talking trash to each other out there. And just kind of wanted to give a little bit of extra love to Sleeper there today. Shout outs to them for helping.
I like the functionality of the app. It's very, very user friendly. You know what I mean? And it's fun. It's fun on it. To be honest with you, I like how everything's set up. Like I said, it's very, very user friendly, and the functionality of it is great. So shout out to Sleeper.
Yeah, man. Want to give those guys a little bit of extra love as we go. Deuce is also saying Trey Tucker with AOC back. Who's AOC? Alexandria Octavio-Cortez? No?
Aiden O'Connell.
Thanks. I was pretty sure it wasn't the other AOC, but
is that a viable start for anybody right now, Aiden O'Connell?
No. Not the quarterback position? No. I just look at the quarterback.
Even if they're playing the Giants.
I'm still going to say no. I'm still going to say no, man. Like, just considering that there's other quarterbacks out there in the world, I would go with any of the other quarterbacks. Like, so just trending up. He's trending up because of exactly what you said. If you're desperate, if you're in a pinch, maybe. Let's look at Aiden O'Connell's situation. Good Lord.
Man.
Yeah. No, dodge that like the plague. Oh, wait a minute.
If you don't give me that, I know something.
Wait a minute. He had a 20-point game this past week against Kansas City.
I'm saying, man, the guys, the more they play him and the more opportunities they give him, seems like he's taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? At first they wasn't. I think, him being a young guy and getting his first reps as a starting quarterback earlier in the season probably wasn't ready and got a chance to sit on the sidelines and kind of watch for a minute and like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. Put me back in, coach. And he's delivering a little bit.
Holy smokes, this is a really good game for Aiden O'Connell. Let me just give the kid a little bit of love, although I was just tearing him down a minute ago. Let me give him a little bit of love. So a 20-point game for him, 100% of snaps, which is pretty standard for a quarterback. 35 passing attempts, which is pretty high for a quarterback. And these are things this is part of the reason why I like Sleeper as much as I do, right? They're going to give you the passing attempts. They're going to give you target share, things to that effect when you're breaking your stuff down, which allows you to sort of understand what the trends look like. I believe I use 4 different platforms. So I'm using NFL.com, ESPN, Sleeper, and Yahoo. And right now, Sleeper is definitely my favorite. I like it the most. As stated, 35 passing attempts isn't ideal for winning a football game, but it is ideal for putting up a 20-point game. Let's be real about that. 340 yards passing, that's pretty crazy. 2 touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs, not bad either, right? So, yeah, maybe again, Week 14 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, I wouldn't like if you got to do it, but I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah, that's that defense right there, man. They get after you.
Yeah, I would not suggest that one this week, but the kid's coming along, and that's a great thing for the Raiders. If the Raiders can see faith here, maybe it means they might not need quote unquote a quarterback in this draft. I still haven't doubt that.
I think another good nuanced question to ask about that Aiden O'Connell, whether to start him or not start him against Tampa Bay, is look at what Tampa Bay's win-loss record is, and what do they need? Do they need to get a game or two to make sure they cinch a playoff spot? Are they in a wild card hunt? What's going on with them? They might be at that desperation point. So a team like that, they come at you like a bat out of hell on defense, man.
Well, I'm just going to say most NFC teams, if you're not the Lions or the Philadelphia Eagles, you're still trying to kick that door in, right? You're still trying to kick the door in and make sure you're making it to the playoffs and deeper. So all that being said, I would lean towards Tampa Bay in that matchup, and I'd probably lean away from an Aiden O'Connell. I'm just looking at these guys trending up here. Our guy's trending up, yo. I didn't really want to talk about this guy today, but since we're here, he's trending up. I have a feeling he's going to have a fantastic game this weekend. He's had a fantastic game these past 3 weeks, right? Thanks to a certain Mr. Thomas Brown taking over the reins as offensive coordinator in Chicago, Caleb Williams has been putting up solid quarterbacking numbers over the past couple of weeks. I expect those numbers to continue. Let's look at target share, right? How many passes is this guy throwing? He's throwing an absolute monstrosity of passes, right? 47, 39, 31, 41. These are crazy. Those are crazy numbers, right? And
reason being, they keep finding, and I put a short out today. We were talking about that in particular. Why we gotta have to get off to a better start so that he doesn't end up with that many.
That's what happens.
Playing from behind too much.
That's it. Real slow starting football games. To make matters a little bit worse is your the run game isn't really getting it done in the first half as a part of that that slow beginning to these football games for the Chicago Bears, which really leaves it to being Caleb Williams' superhero ball for the second half. And somehow superhero ball is working out to really decent QB numbers for Caleb Williams. Hasn't been working out to wins for the Chicago Bears, mind you, but decent QB numbers for Caleb. Keep your eyes peeled if you need a quarterback, if he's floating around on a bench. Wouldn't be a crazy idea to get him for this week if you need a guy. You know what I'm saying? If you need a guy, he's rostered in 55% of leagues out there, started in 25. Now started in a lot of leagues. I picked up Caleb in multiple leagues, and I've been starting him for the better part of the season. So we'll see, man. We'll see how he does. What do you say?
While you're on the Bears, see, this is where you can. Some people out here are gonna thank us next week. Why? 'Cause I'm about to quickly explain myself. I can tell when a team is like this. Is San Francisco is a former championship. They probably should have got 2 rings out of this unit that they have. But now that window is to me officially closed, you're gonna see guys the letdown is gonna be real. So any Bears that you can put on offensively, I put them on for this game right here because I got a feeling it's going to be Tank Town, man. It's after this game, quite frankly, the real questions about whether or not Shanahan stays in San Francisco, that's going to come to a head. I think we're gonna give him a pretty good beating.
Well, that's exactly what we both want to happen. Let's be real about that one, right? I want to see them stop the 49ers. It would be awesome to see. Not my personal favorite football team in the NFL. Just say stuff like that. They fleeced the daylights out of the Bears for Mitch Trubisky, and things have been a little bit sideways ever since. So it'd be great to just go, run ruckshot over the 49ers. But the ramifications of doing so will be very interesting. If the Bears go out there and they stomp them, that could have a little bit of reverberation throughout their locker room, and potentially by way of the coach. If that coach winds up in Chicago at the end of the day, I don't think anybody in Chicago is going to be complaining except for Thomas Brown. Sorry, Thomas. I really like you too. I'm just saying. Anyways, Caleb Williams, if you need a QB, look at Caleb Williams. Russell Wilson, I've done my best to dodge this situation and talking about it. Russell Wilson's only started in 19% of leagues, 42% rostered. Holy cow. He putting up good numbers. You know what? Maybe they're decent numbers. The trend isn't really there the way that we could see it in other places. So
what's the matchup?
What's the matchup? Matchup is up against Cleveland. Good old divisional matchup. And we're going to talk about those guys here. So let's just talk about those guys here. I'm going to leave you later for you, Russell. I'm just going to dodge this thing because his situation is a little bit touch and go. He will be quarterbacking. He's going to have a decent game against the Cleveland Browns without question. If he's available, go get yourself a Russell Wilson if you need him. But you can also get this guy. So, did you have him on the thumbnail? Because you should have had him on the thumbnail.
He's on there, Isaac Garindo from San Fran.
That's why I thought you had him on the thumbnail. So, look, Jameis Winston's not necessarily a good quarterback under any pretenses, right? Let's just be real about that. But he can get the job done. The question is, what is the job? If the job is winning football games, not sure he's going to get the job done. If the job is airing out the football and getting some passing yardage and putting up fantasy football points, that job he can do. So look at these numbers. See, we were just looking at Russell. Let me go back. There we go. Let's just look at just for trend's sake, right? So this is what Russell Wilson's numbers look like since Game 7. 25 fantasy football points in Week 7, 12 in Week 8, 18 in Week 10, 5 Week 11, 12 in Week 12, 24 in Week 13. Decent. Jameis Winston, 8 in Week 7, 24 in Week 8, 14 in Week 9, 26 in Week 11, 15 in Week 12, 31 in Week 13. Now, that's just in this particular league. Depending on which league you're looking at, those numbers may have been a little bit crazier, right? So my guy went out there for all intents and purposes and destroyed numbers, right? In both directions for both teams. It was kind of crazy. Almost 500 yards passing. That's insanity. I don't even know. I've never even heard of that before. That's crazy. Crazy numbers passing. Bunch of interceptions. 58 attempts. Like I was telling you before. 46 attempts. 46 attempts.
I think the better way to put this is the reason why. Number one. Number two, if you had an option, you got these two guys as an option to start this week. Would it be Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson?
At this present time, I can tell you that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win this football game. So if I'm betting the farm on the winner, you would probably say what?
I'd rather have Russ in that situation.
You'd rather have Russ. I'm still picking Jameis Winston. I'm going to tell you why. Russell Wilson will win the game. He'll have some decent numbers, Will it be 24? Or, will it be a 24 situation, 24-point situation? I highly doubt
you're talking just from a fantasy standpoint.
I'm talking straight up 100%edly only fantasy football here. That's what this show's about.
Then I agree. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If we're talking about
a week, Jameis, did you know that Jerry Jeudy had more receiving yards last night than Deshaun Watson had passing yards all season per game?
Wow.
The Browns go Brown, and he's going to be starting next year.
And he chose a different technology, man.
That was a crazy stat. That's a brutal stat.
This is very easy, man. Jameis Winston, number one, more likely than Russell Wilson to have to play from behind and try to catch up, and he's going to have to throw the ball a whole lot more than Russell Wilson. Number one. Number two, that freak of nature on the other side of the ball of Russell Wilson is going to give him hell. And so, yeah, I'm not starting Russell Wilson whatsoever. That's an easy pick, Jameis Winston. That's an easy one.
You got it. Jameis Winston all day in this particular situation. One more again. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the football game. But the fact of the matter is they're going to be behind the ball, which means superhero time, and Jameis is going to go out there and he's going to air out the skies. And again, 58 passing attempts just equals numbers like what we're looking at here, 497. That's the type of numbers you're going to be looking at. So that's, if you need a couple extra, a little extra something this week. Jameis Winston ain't crazy.
One thing I would caution you, and this is just you because I don't want you to lose money, sir. I wouldn't bet on this game against the Cleveland Browns. I definitely wouldn't. You got to remember how tightly contested these divisional
You're right.
are. Man, these dudes, they play no matter what the records are. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, if I was a betting man, I'd probably take something on an upset on this game, man, just because they got enough pieces, man. It's just about, can they put it all together for 4 quarters?
That's it. That's it. And that goes for every divisional game. Like you can look on paper and go, these guys are going to win. You never know for some crazy reason. And we, Bears fans out there, we know the difference. In the division, it's just all bets are off. Different situations. So, my bet again is going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm pretty sure Jameis is just going to wind up airing the ball out one more again, and here we go. So, regardless, that's going to equal something similar to this, 20-plus fantasy football points. And if you need it, he's only rostered in 22% of leagues, started in 9, probably available. So if you're a guy who's starting a Brock Purdy or something to that effect, and you need a little shot of Jameis Winston this week to get you over the hump, you probably find him in waiver wire.
Shout out to Dennis Moody. My first time seeing him here on SuperFlex, man. Welcome in.
Yeah, man. Good to have you, Dennis. Leo Factor, good to have you, my dude. Joseph Archer, what's poppin'? Rock Davis. Yo, we got all the regulars in here. Ron Winarski. Yo, Ron said they fired. I got a good laugh. Ron said they fired Flus on his birthday. It was the best birthday present ever.
Wait a minute. They fired Flus on Ron's birthday? On
Ron's, not on Flus's birthday. On Ron's birthday. If they fired Flus on his birthday, that's the coldest thing. That's even colder than making him go out there and do that presser. But hey, cold blood. Hey, what's up, Cliff? Cliff's debating dropping Bo Nix to pick up Jameis. Oh, for sure. Probably won't get him because of the waiver. Yeah, okay. So if you're waiver priority 12, you might not get him. I'm not sure what the rush is for a Jameis Winston. Let's be real, depending on what's going on. But not a bad move, Cliff. Not a bad move. I will also say that Bo Nix is surprisingly nice, right? He's surprisingly nice. He's putting up good numbers out there on the ground too. So, who's Denver up against this week?
I'm not playing Bo Nix depending on who he's matched up against.
That's just what I was saying. Who's Denver playing this week? Denver is playing they have a bye. Yeah. Get yourself some Jameis Winston, Doc. So 14, lots of buys this week, guys. So be careful, be vigilant. Make sure you're paying attention. The Texans, for instance, are off in week 14. They got a bye. What's going on, Crooked Commish? We're gonna find out. But
I also think, kids, just because I think Bryce Young is a sneaky good. He is starting to get it. And I've said that for 2 weeks in a row. I don't know if everybody heard me, but I know
I heard you. I just didn't believe you. Let's find out.
He just doesn't have that plethora of receivers. He's got Thielen. I just want to double check and see if Thielen didn't get hurt this week. And Xavier Legette, David Moore, those are decent receivers, but he doesn't have the pieces around him. But he's dealing.
Yeah, you don't want nothing to do with this. Let me stay away from this. I hear what you're saying. So there's an upside here, and the upside is that like look at these earlier situations. Things were not looking good for young Mr. Young, but he's starting to pull it out. Not to mention he's got a couple of hurt receivers and things to that effect. So,
what Leo is saying in here may explain a whole lot. It says the Panthers pass pro has to be top 5 in the league, if not top 3.
That definitely helps.
Everything.
That definitely helps. That changes things completely. And considering a 23-point game against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who we were just bigging up a minute ago, my real worry here is just the obvious worry, right? Philadelphia. So they're going up against Philly this week. That's a tough matchup, man. But if you need something for maybe week 15 against a kind of weak Dallas team, although Micah Parsons is back, it made a big difference last week for the Dallas Cowboys.
Going on with Philly that I don't know, it might have kind of went past your radar. They might have lost Reed Blankenship. I don't know how long that's going to be. Number one, they lost Brandon Graham, probably their veteran pass rusher on that team. So, most of their penetration right now and the sacks that they're getting is coming from the interior, Jalen Carter and Big Davis. And so, I don't know, dynamically, I would be willing to say that Bryce Young has a better than expected game against them. I would just say that.
All right. I'm not sure about no 20 odd points. And if it is a 20 odd point situation, it's because they're coming from behind and he's got the ability to just chuck it up there. 23 points again. And look at that target share. Look at the passing attempts in this situation for quarterbacks. 46 passing attempts. Looks like 23 points. So again, if they're far behind, he's just going to air the ball out and things are going to happen. 3 interceptions, right? Like that's just what happens. So pay attention. If Philly's just stomping them out, it might work out for a decent game for Bryce Young. Let's just be real.
You got to look at it this way too, kids. You got to think these last bucket of games that they have. Think about it in this nuanced way. He's heard all the chatter about they should trade him and all that kind of stuff. Right now, he's in actual audition mode to, how do I get this team to build around me? How do I get them to invest in me? Let this team know that I am the future. Build around me. See, that's where he's at. So he has to deliver right now. So these are some of the nuanced reasons why you want to take a good, strong look at Bryce Young if you need options at quarterback.
All right. I was going to argue with you, but it's not a crazy situation because, again, I feel like they're going to lose this football game against Philadelphia, but that's going to incur a high number of attempts by Bryce Young. So we may wind up putting up decent numbers this week. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm a dodge him because my quarterback situation looked good. Anyways, what else we got going on here? Let's get back to trending players. So we're just looking at quarterbacks. That pretty much squares things away. We could talk about Mr. Darnold in Minnesota. Let's just look. Ain't nothing wrong with these numbers, but he's so heavily rostered that I won't spend much time on him.
Right. What about you still talking about quarterbacks?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
You thinking of something?
No. We at quarterbacks now. I'm clear. I understand.
Okay. So we'll move over to RBs. All right. So that's pretty much what the quarterback situation looks like. Those are the guys you can sort of pay a little bit of attention to. I've ignored Will Levis. He's on the list. His numbers are semi-pedestrian. He's up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like Tennessee is going to win this game against Jacksonville, and it probably won't incur 37-plus attempts by Will Levis. But realistically, guys, if you can, don't do it. He's only rostered in 17% of leagues for a reason. He's only started in 6% of leagues for the same reason.
By the way, Cliff, in your situation, I'm taking Jameis. If I can't get Jameis, I'm gonna probably
who's Kyler playing this week? Who's Arizona play? Let me find out for you.
Nobody can sack that dude, man.
He's great. I like him. I have him. I'm starting him in one of my leagues. My quarterbacks are Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, and Joe Burrow. Those are my QBs. If I couldn't get Joe, I was mad, and I had to do other things. And those are the other things that I did. Kyler, there you are, Mr. Murray. Who do you play? Oh, you're playing Seattle this week.
I also wonder how rostered what's his name, Baker Mayfield is. All of a sudden now that his big dog receiver is back, number 13. I don't know how rostered not Kyler, but Baker Mayfield is.
Super rostered, right? Yeah, they're about the same as Kyler Murray. So 92% rostered out there, 60% started. Kyler Murray's 93% rostered, 64% started. Kyler's numbers have been really up and down. Like towards the beginning of this season, they were fantastic. And then, some weird stuff happened. I'm not sure about the connection between him and Marvin Harrison Jr. just yet, but I believe it'll get there. What's weird is on a week with 45 attempts for Kyler Murray, only 18 points for Kyler Murray, right? Things are a little bit weird with that passing game right now, and I can see why Cliff is sort of thinking about maybe starting somebody else. Seattle is who they play this week.
They run the ball well, too. That's another thing.
That is a big piece. John Connor's a beast. You're right.
So, I mean, he doesn't have to throw the ball 50 times. They run the ball pretty effectively right now.
You're right. So, yeah. So, I get it. No, sorry, my bad. I just didn't realize it was Minnesota that he was playing against. That explains these numbers altogether, right? So Minnesota just shut the run game down and had him running for his life, right? And bunch of passing attempts. You're behind the 8 ball, and that looks like 18.70 fantasy football points for the week for Kyler Murray. Makes a lot of sense. Against the Seattle Seahawks, though.
Hey, Deuce wants to know if Baker got cracked. I don't know what about his injury status.
Let's see.
Does he have a designation?
I don't think so.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, no designation right now, Deuce. No designation right now for Baker Mayfield. He seems to be on the go. I don't see anything along those lines. They're playing your guys there. They're playing your Vegas Raiders, and yeah, I know. Now I see why you're asking if he's hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. Deuce is clearly a Raiders fan. Just to put that up.
Commish has one for you.
What are you saying, Crooked Commish? What two we you guys like PPR? Okay. D Smith if he plays, or BTJ. Ooh.
I can't.
Jordan Addison or Rome. I would dodge the Rome. It looks like all passing in Chicago is going through Keenan Allen right now. I'll just say that out loud. If we're talking about BTJ, I would say yeah, with the exception that his quarterback just got blown up. Right? So these 4 receivers, I'm looking at a Devonta Smith. Oh, wait a minute. Is Devonta Smith hurt? Because he didn't play this week.
He's got an ankle or something going
on. Hamstring.
Who are the hey Julian? Who's golf playing this week? Because I can tell you right now, if it's a weak run defense, they're just gonna run all over them, and golf will have minimal passing yards.
Jared Goff. Oops. The Lions are playing Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
That's divisional. That's going to be a problem. I wouldn't think that he's going to go over there and just light up the world. I'll be real about that one.
Packers are going to get with them, man. And I wouldn't start him over. That's strange to even say. I wouldn't start him over Caleb this week just because they're playing the Packers.
Under normal pretenses, I would say do it, right? Like I would say start Jared Goff. But in this particular scenario, it'll be a very tight game between them and the Packers. If it's not a tight game, it's because they ran down the Packers' throats. Like that, about that simple. If it ain't tight, but we found out that,
They also there's blood in the water on the Lions because we shouldn't have been able to just come right back on them like that. So that film is out there. I'm gonna say Green Bay pops them this week, and they give Jared Goff problems all day long.
It's exactly what I feel is going to happen. And if they, like I'm saying, if they can somehow thwart that run game, or if Ben Johnson forgets to run the football again, like he forgot to do it with us, well, sorry, I just caught Ron Winarski. Start Gibbs. Yeah, like still start both Gibbs and Montgomery. If you have either one of those backs, start them both, period. They will get 15-plus points. I'll tell you that right now. But I would actually start a Caleb Williams, given the question. I would start a Caleb Williams over Jared Goff this week in that scenario. Back to Crooked Commish. If Devonta Smith is healthy, I would go Devonta Smith and Jordan Addison here. I'll be real. My other guy's got a hurt quarterback, and Rome
He's
basically number 3 in the tree. Huh?
What's nervous about that, Crooked, is you're going to have to wait all the way. I bet you they won't be a determination all the way up until game time. They'll keep it questionable all the way up until game time, which makes fantasy people nervous. But what to pay attention to is how many full practices he gets this week, starting tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it. That's the question. Cool. So that answers that. But Deuce is saying Devonta's been playing hurt for a while. Even with playing hurt, he's been putting up decent numbers. I just think he finally needed a rest, and he got a good rest this week. Saquon Barkley just killing it in Philadelphia, and you know all about that because that Deuce one has Saquon Barkley as his quarterback. As his running back on his team, and he just ran me down this week, bro.
That situation looks so much like a redemption Super Bowl story. It's got that shit written all over it. Saquon Barkley coming home to Philly, and against all odds, after being snowed down in New York for so long, he goes and gets on the team that that really needed him, and he needed them, and he runs them into the Super Bowl, man. They've got that kind of quality to that team. They can literally, if they can play good defense like they've been doing, he can tote that rock and carry them all the way through the Super Bowl, man. That's what kind of story it's shaping up to be.
See, these are things I wanted to hear about my Chicago Bears, right? Anyhow, I won't push that button. I'll leave it alone. Let's look at running backs now. Let's Isaac Guerrero. So I don't know if you've seen the footage, but I definitely seen the footage. It looked like Christian McCaffrey's whole leg went kablooey. You saw it?
I said it in the offseason. Me, you, and Samuel were on the show, and I think Samuel was the one that agreed with me. And you were like, no, you can't. I said,
no, you're backwards because I said it and you agreed with me, and Samuel disagreed with both of us.
I can make a clip. Now I'm just saying. I get it.
The other team, and before you get too deep, the other team that I said was out of the Super Bowl window, and I was wrong. I'm just going to apologize now. So I said these guys were, and we both did. The other team I said was out of the Super Bowl window. It's probably going to go to the Super Bowl, and that's the Buffalo Bills because I didn't understand what was going on over there. But whatever's going on, it's working.
they had a salary cap issue and they straightened it out. They had to let go of some key pieces, but they were able to grab some in trades and do a different stuff like that. Help kind of replenish what they had going on. Kind of adjusted the scheme to fit the situation that they had, which looks really good. Getting good running. I mean, man, my guy number 4 is electric, man. He is bad. He's a bad boy. But Isaac Guerrero, dude, there's a dude that you talking about. If you can get your hands on him with the way San Fran insists on running the ball, it's like whoever you put behind that offensive line, count on them getting a whole lot of touches, man. And just per that, you got you a good back on your hand in your fantasy.
So all the things you just said, right? And then you look at the numbers, and there's not a lot to go by. So the one time he really got the opportunity to tote the rock big, maybe there's more numbers to look at. Wait a minute. So he got a big opportunity in week 6, 13 points, 26% of snaps, 10 attempts, 14 attempts. Only 4 attempts this past week here. Okay, cool. That's what I wanted to see. All right. I was confusing snap percentage with actual attempts. Cool. That being the case, super low. That explains his 8 fantasy football points for the week. He's going to get a whole lot more than 4 touches this week. No two ways about that. Why? Everybody's hurt. Everybody's at the doctors. It's about that simple. So he's coming to Chicago. He's going to run up against our run defense. And how good is Chicago's run defense, King of Pop?
Horrible.
Yeah, so he's probably going to put up decent numbers. I wish I was lying about that. It could be the flip, though, right? Maybe he's not the greatest running back in the world, and maybe the Chicago Bears' shaky run defense can hold it down against an Isaac Guerrero. My thoughts here is that offensive line is just too good.
I don't know what to do with this Dennis Moody question. I don't even know what prize picks are.
I don't do the fantasy thing. You got any prize picks advice? Prize picks. Je ne sais. I don't know what prize picks are. I'm out. I'm out on prize picks. I'm sorry, Dennis, but we love to have you, bro. Always good to have. All right. So that's this week with Isaac Guerrero. It's going to be a solid week. If you need a running back, grab him. I just reconsidered this whole thing. I may have to grab him in a league or two. Just putting that out there.
Is a betting app where you bet on props.
Oh, well, just ask me the straight up props. Ask me the props. If there's a prop you're interested in betting on, ask me. I will suggest yay or nay. Joe Brady buff OC as Bears next HC. We'll see. We'll see. I'm just waiting for these guys to go. I'm waiting for the next 5 weeks to go through.
That's pretty basic stuff, Cliff Victoria, but none of that stuff works without the running back that they have, the O-line they have, and the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's pretty basic stuff, but they run it well because of the pieces they feature. And so I keep telling everybody, all these, these shiny offensive coordinators, man, you got to understand why they're able to execute the game plans that they put out there. It's what they have out in front of them. So like I say it all the time. Ben, what is his name? Ben Johnson ain't gonna do us no good unless he brings the whole offensive line over here with him.
And that's well, that worries me. What the other thing that worries me is that he just forgot to run the football against the Bears a week ago. Just stop doing it. That worries me a little bit. We also don't know if he is a quote unquote leader of men. That's really the big question. I look across the way, you see Dan Campbell. He's definitely a leader of men. I don't know anything about Ben Johnson and whether he is. He might just be a guy, just think about for a minute. I don't want to get too sidetracked off of fantasy, but just think about Mark Trestman for a minute. If you're a Bears fan out there, and Mark Trestman really came in with, just that geek, he's just a little bit of a geek, glasses. He can scheme up some offense. Without question, he could. But it was the other stuff he wasn't really good at. So that's where I'm a little bit worried about who they bring in and I need to see a little bit more, which is why I'm kind of interested in Thomas Brown, because he seems to be showing that leader of men thing. We've seen a little bit of the OC thing. If you can pull those things together, it might be the most cost-effective case scenario the McCaskies have ever seen that might actually work. That being said, back to these running backs. My guy, Crooked Commish, big shout-outs to you, Doug, because your little 2 cents here is key. Hell, even if you don't need a back, but your opponent does, grab him. Just keep him away, right? Like, that's defensive football right there. That's defensive fantasy football. That's a smart move. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And I'll never forget. I was in the playoffs last year, and one of the guys was completely knocked off. There's only a couple of us obviously left in playoffs vying for contention, but the waivers are open, and you can wheel and deal. And if you want to go and grab a guy, you can grab a guy. And one of the guys who isn't playing for anything grabbed a guy that I desperately needed for my week to win. And it blew me right out of the playoffs, and I almost lost my you-know-what. So, yeah, man, that was probably just a little bit of revenge for me whooping him earlier in the season. You know what I'm saying? So, like, same token, you can do little things like that. If your waiver wires are open and somebody beat you and botched your way up to a couple of bucks, play spoiler. You didn't hear it from me.
So you say it gets personal on the time, huh?
Yeah, that's it, man. Right? Yeah. Hey, man, payback's a you-know-what, man. You know what I'm saying? So go get him. Patrick Taylor's out there for San Francisco, too. I just don't see it happening this week. So Isaac Grendel for sure. Chris Rodriguez. Why is this? I think these guys are on bye week this week. Don't touch them. Remember, Washington's on bye. If you got Washington stuff, pay attention. Terry McLaurin. I got Terry McLaurin on at least one roster. He won't be playing this weekend. Jaleel McLaughlin's starting to step it up. 12 points this week. That means that my guy Audric ain't getting the ball. Sad. All right. If you need a guy, they're on the bye. Week 14, y'all. Week 14 is a monster for buys. So there goes the Denver situation as well.
Rico Dowdle has been looking pretty good.
Yeah, he was another guy who really, really cut me up this week in at least one of my losses. 26 points for Rico Dowdle. To be frank here, just from a track record perspective, he puts up decent numbers on a weekly basis. He does. Not to say that the running game in Dallas is something special. I wouldn't say that. I would say that they've got a decent O-line by way of the run, and he's taking advantage of it. So 26 points here against the New York Giants. I don't see him having 26 points against the Cincinnati Bengals, although their defense has been relatively shaky all season too. So take that for what it's worth. He's available right now in my league. But in everywhere else, he is 79% rostered, 53% started. So good luck getting him. I could get him, and maybe I will. Just saying. Who else is out there? Jalen Warren. If you have a Najee Harris and you don't have Jalen Warren as a handcuff, shame on you. Like, that's a great handcuff situation waiting to happen. He's heavily rostered, though. People know about Jalen Warren because things have been a little bit weird traditionally with Najee Harris and his production. But this year he's producing. Gotta admit, he's producing quite well. 70% rostered, 32% started for Jalen Warren. If he's available, he'll get you 15 points. All right? And they're playing Cleveland this week. Yup, he'll get you 15. Tank Bigsby, I believe these guys are off. No, they're playing this week. Bigsby didn't have a good week this week, but he only saw the ball 7 times. Really depends on how this share situation is going to work. I can tell you this, though. Without Trevor Lawrence, there's going to be a heavy run situation in Jacksonville this weekend.
I got a question. Is Taysom Hill listed as a quarterback still, or is he a tight end?
Um, I think that depends on like
He's down there. I look like I've seen tight end. Because people they're gonna need. He's probably on a lot
tight
of
ends.
It's probably a lot of people's flex. Lots
Tight
of
end.
people. So he's at 60% rostered now, just because I think he had an injury. I don't know if he's out for the season or what happened, but something ain't good there. And he was a lot of people's flex. Now people are looking for that extra flex piece.
Wow.
Dude says he's out for the season.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's got an ACL tear. He's cooked. He's done. So he's done for the season. Dude's been paying a little bit of extra attention to the Saints because his guy Derek Carr's over there, Raiders fan. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, Taysom is done for the season. No questions about that. His ability, like, just look at his track record here. He's only playing for a couple of weeks because for some reason earlier on they just didn't want to play him. But here he goes, starts to put numbers up. Unfortunately, he gets hurt. I can't really tell you of another place you're going to put up those type of numbers consistently.
If you're looking for somebody of his ilk to replace, it's not going to be no Taysom Hill numbers. He's not going to get targeted like that. But out of nowhere, Cordell Patterson might be somebody that you might want to keep an eye on if you got Taysom Hill and you had him as a reliable flex, man. You might want to look around like, that might be a nice move for somebody.
Why would you say CP?
Well, because he's healthy.
CP doing anything?
They'll give him not a lot, but eventually they'll feature him.
Why?
You got to pick the matchup.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't bring this name up to anybody right now. And I love this guy. He's one of my favorite football players, period. But I think I just think I think Pittsburgh got just about enough weapons. They don't really need to lean on Cordero outside of
you might want you think about it this way. It's going to be wherever they play, it's going to be cold between Pittsburgh or Cleveland. Number one, it's going to be extremely cold. And that's when guys like Mike Tomlin like to go with their bigger physical backs and really, really pound you once they get you moving, get that defensive line, get a push on them. Then they start just pounding you with Najee Harris and the other big back, which is Cordell Patterson. And so you just got to pick the moment. You got to think about the nuanced stuff that adds to the game, like the weather, the elements. What's the weather going to be like that week? Is it going to be snowy conditions? It's going to be frigid cold. You want to pound. Nobody wants to tackle big dudes when it's really cold out there. And so that's why he might be valuable coming late this part of the season.
Well, yeah, that worries me. It's funny because for all those reasons, I can see them running the ball with Justin Fields a heck of a lot more. And they showed that there this past week. I think that might continue with the slight exception of the more they play him, the more they might potentially have to pay the Bears. So they're going to be very frugal with the snaps for Justin Fields.
See what Cliff is saying, that very, very end of what he's saying, cold, snow, rain, sleet games. Watch the weather this weekend. Keep your eye on Cordell Patterson, because if it's any kind of conditions, they'll pound him with Najee and Cordell.
Okay. Won't argue with that. I would still look at my guy Jaylen Warren in that respect, but three running backs is better than none. You know what I'm saying? So do what you can. Same thing with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne with our guy Lawrence out. There's going to be a lot more running of the football in Jacksonville this particular weekend. So if you don't have a Tank Bigsby, might be a big Tank Bigsby week. I ain't saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win this football game, but I will say Tank Bigsby might. Let's just see here. Tank Bigsby generally gets between 7 and 8 touches on a regular split game. He might be looking at 13 to 18 touches this week. it's going to at least double. Right? So that's where we are with Tank as far as a running back is concerned. Let's take a quick peek at these wide receivers. No, this is probably the smartest man's money out there. In every one of my leagues, I've seen somebody put some sort of a waiver claim in for this guy. So, yeah, Nick Westbrook Akina, and you've been talking about him for a couple of weeks now. I'll give you a little bit of that Mike Sharp props, but yeah, man, like Nick Westbrook, just look at these numbers; they speak for themselves.
It's looking good out there.
Yeah, his numbers speak for themselves. What's even more awesome, let's be real about this, is his targets. They're not high. And that's weird for a guy with these types of numbers.
He had a bust-out game where he just exploded onto the scene probably 3-4 weeks ago or something like that. And everybody wanted to know, is this a trend that continues to go up? And I'll just like really look around you. Look at the receiving core that he has. Look at the guys that it's a guy or two that may get double teamed that's going to free him up one-on-one on a regular basis. It's about if Will Levis can get it to him, and apparently he can't.
That is the question. That's the question. Right? If he can hit him, it's a thing. If he can't hit him.
Goff only got 9.6 points versus Green Bay the last matchup. So is Caleb a safer start against? Hell yeah, it's a safer start.
See, like that's a great way of looking at it, Julian. If you want to break it right down to the previous matchup, great way to break it down. That sounds bang on to what I'm sort of thinking will happen this time around too. I would definitely go Caleb Williams against the San Francisco 49ers, and that's saying a lot. It'll be a tough matchup for the Lions this week. Anything in that division, that North Division, you got to be careful because those teams play hard against each other, man. It's madness. But here's a guy. If you need a guy, if you need a wide receiver, his name is Nick.
29% roster. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. He's available all over the place. 15% started even at that. The few people who got him, he's sitting on a bench, right? So there's a guy to look for. Adam Thielen, since you were big enough Bryce Young, we'll take a look at Adam Thielen. Fact of the matter is Adam Thielen is money. He is, right? I know we don't have much trend to look at, but we could just look at his past, 6 years in the NFL or whatever it is. He's a vet. He gets the job done. There's no two ways about it. Right now, I believe everybody else, for the most part, is hurt. That might be ahead of him. So he's going to be that safety blanket. He's Keenan Allen. Right, he's Keenan Allen for Bryce Young. That being said, 26 points this past week, a lot of targets, 10 targets. If they fall behind Philadelphia, which I'm pretty sure they will, imagine a bunch of targets for Adam Thielen and very likely a decent day at the office. Question is, will he get a touchdown or not? He
is definitely Bryce Young's Geico insurance.
That's it. Well said. That's exactly what he is. He's that safety blanket for Linus, right?
Hey, Julian had a question about in terms of why Caleb in this game situation. Is this game a must-win for the Bears in terms of their division? Not really, but it is a must-win. It's a must-win because of what we have on the line as far as breaking this losing streak, number one. Number two, we got an interim head coach who's out to prove his mustard. And so he's going to put his best foot forward. And so I think you're going to see the best version of the Chicago Bears this week. Caleb leading that charge.
All of those things, I can't call it. I know he's calling it a must win. I can't call it a must win. I really hope that they win. I think they can win. I think that this particular matchup at this time bodes very well for the Bears. Not a lot of injury for the Bears, fair amount of injury for the San Francisco 49ers, right? So I think things are strangely in the Bears' favor, and I think that's how this particular week in football is going to shake out, I'll be honest with you. Is it a must-win, considering I believe we're bumped out of contention already? I don't know. but it will definitely scream volumes to the guy who just took over the reins. You just snapped a 6-game losing streak. You did. It'll speak volumes to Thomas Brown. Big things.
Leo wanted to know he had a Bears question, but I already answered. He said, "Why so many Bears fans against hiring Bill Belichick? Because he's old and past his prime, Leo. That damn man's almost 80 years old."
Yep, all of those things. There's the answer. It's not like he's not a 6-time Super Bowl champion genius. We all know those things. It's just like, how long is he going to be a 6-time? You know what I mean? Like, how long are you going to sign this guy for? Because, things happen to people.
His philosophy, I think, is a little bit outdated. Some of the things, it could have been due to the fact that he got a little arrogant there because there was no GM over his head. He was picking the pieces, playing the pieces, and kind of maneuvering things the way he wanted to. Had a defensive coordinator as the offensive coordinator, and shit went crazy. I don't think Bill Belichick is the kind of guy that can come in here and have an overseer as a general manager. He can't have that. He's going to want to do it all. And so I don't think the conditions are conducive for a Bill Belichick just from a practical standpoint. I have to say that, he's never had a GM while he was in and he operated like an MFer without one, but it got to a point where he was messing up the team because of it. So yeah, that's what I think of it.
Oh, Deuce says his cheerleader girlfriend is keeping him young, so maybe we should bring him in. Here's the facts from me. I'm much less interested in Bill Belichick as the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. I would be extremely interested in Bill Belichick as the football person for the Chicago Bears. Nobody's talking about this, so I'll just put it out there now. And I try my best not to make this a Bears show, but that's what I would do. I would make Bill Belichick the McCaskey mouthpiece because I'm sick and tired of them having to go and ask George for permission to do things. That should be somebody who knows football. Should be a football guy who's been paid by George to do football stuff.
I'd bring Bill
that guy
consultant at best.
I wouldn't bring him in I'm being serious. I wouldn't bring him in as a consultant for anything that has to do with the actual management of the football team itself, coaching, etc. But for football decisions as a figurehead leader for George, I would not argue with that at all, because we all know he knows football. He knows everybody. He's respected. You know what I mean? He'd be a great football guy for the Bears to have access to on a regular basis. This way, again, you're not asking George for permission to fire a guy. You're asking Bill Belichick. And if Bill Belichick's like, fire a guy, that's what's going to happen.
All right, kids, put your train back on the track.
Thank you. Back at it, wide receivers. We didn't really talk too much about this guy. We talked around him. There's the track record, right? 13 targets, 11 targets, 11 targets, basically plus 6 targets for the last 7 games, including a bye week in the middle. But these fantasy football numbers are crazy. 16, 19 points, 30 points, 19 points again, 50 points, 235 yards. My name is Jerry Jeudy.
You're going to have to trade for him at this point.
Who, me? Everybody. I got him in at least in this league, as you can see right here. Just saying.
Got a revenge game coming this week.
Uh-oh.
That Denver. Who is it?
No, that was Revenge. Revenge was the 50 burger and he lost. Right? Revenge was the 50 and he lost. He's mad, man. He was like, I would give away all 235 of these yards if we got the W. But so much for that. 77% rostered, 40%, 44% started out there. If you can find him, get him. If you find any of these, and we'll get to the other guy in a minute. I'll move forward. But Jerry Jeudy's for real. The numbers speak for themselves. There's a track record there. This game's going to get out of hand, and they're going to start airing, and Jamie's going to start airing the ball out again. So if you've got a Jerry Jeudy, do what you got to do. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I've been bigging him up for the last few weeks. Numbers are decent. Major difference here is he's going up against New York Giants. So I have a strange feeling he's going to take off one more time and put up some decent numbers with the Derek Carr. So keep your eyes peeled. Low target share is my only issue here. That's my only issue. Very low target share.
Alvin Scanlon is trying to make him some money, Jack.
Oh, yeah. And it's working. He got an opportunity against the Atlanta Falcons, and he killed it with 3 targets. Like, he put 30 fantasy football points up, 3 targets. That's crazy. It's amazing. So hopefully he gets a little bit more target share, a little bit more wallet share, and away they go. Where's the game in New York? It's at the Giants. It's at the Giants. So he's playing in New York. I have a strange feeling these guys just run ruckshot, and hopefully Valdez-Scantling is hopefully you see some good numbers that come out of it. So, Carr struggles on the East Coast, but New Orleans is on the East Coast. Take that.
No.
This came from a guy who flunked geography, but we're doing pretty good right now. I'm passing with flying colors right now. Anyhow, Elijah Moore. All the things I said about Jerry Jeudy spring kind of true for Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is a very decent wide receiver. In a volatile place like Cleveland. 14 targets yesterday, and again, just slice that right out of that 58 target craziness that happened. 111 yards for him too. So like, they're your wide receivers if you're talking about the Cleveland Browns. You're looking at Elijah Moore. You're looking at Jerry Jeudy. Difference being, this guy's available in most leagues. 23% rostered, 8% started. Take a look. 25 fantasy football points last week. And it's a little bit more hit and miss than it is a straight up trend. But one more again, they're playing Pittsburgh. They're going to be down. That ball's going to be thrown all over the place. All right.
A little Pittsburgh names. His last name's Austin. Might be an interesting guy to look at, man. Because
you're talking about Calvin Austin.
I think so.
You'll be surprised. He's one of the most hit and miss guys out there. And that's why I wouldn't suggest it. Last 2 weeks have been good for Calvin Austin, right? So 18 points, 10 points, decent couple weeks. But if you look throughout the rest of the season, like, he's out there every week, and he just isn't quite putting up good numbers. Once in a while he does. Why?
Who was number? You remember Lockett in Seattle when Russ was in Seattle?
Yeah.
Calvin Austin is turning into that guy with this offense.
Well, I would say that he is, except Russ seems to be just throwing the ball all over the yard. So there's another guy, I think. Who's the other wide receiver? Oh, well, there's that then. So he's in concussion protocol. See, good thing we looked at him. All right. So I think there's another wide receiver there that, like, Russ has been sharing the targets all over the place. And why I'm saying that is he's putting up these numbers with really low targets, bro. So 2 targets here this week, 10 fantasy football points, including a touchdown. 3 targets in week 12, touchdown. That explains your 18. Every other week, again, on a high, he's had 6 targets. So that's why I'm down on Calvin Austin. Just not enough.
Hits him big, and he targets him. It's downfield, Jack.
That's it. And again, if he gets in the end zone, you're doing well. But this low targets worries me a little bit. All right. Oh, more importantly, though, concussion. So he's going to be gone for at least a week, if not more. So pay attention to that if you are starting a Calvin Austin. This guy's always worth a conversation. Okay. Terrible season so far. Gotta admit. Brandon Cooks. But I have mad respect for this receiver. And when you need a guy, if he's on the team, he's going to do some stuff. So he had a pretty decent week this week, 7 targets. If the targets are available there, and they might be this coming week, considering that CeeDee Lamb might be hurting this week, I'm not sure if he's going to play. If CeeDee Lamb doesn't play, Brandon Cooks will be the recipient of most of the targets outside of Jalen Tolbert.
I think they've checked out on that coach, man. And so you might be absolutely right about that. I don't want to say anybody's faking an injury, but starting to sense that. You know what I mean? Like, I got to get out of here, man. I'm not going to risk myself. I know we ain't playing for nothing. I'm sitting it out.
So I would almost agree with you, except for just that Micah's back, and it seemed to bring a little bit of a spark. But we'll see how big that spark really is this coming week against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't see much good happening. The real upside here, and the only reason I'm bringing up Brandon Cooks, if you need a wide receiver, he is available out there. 14% rostered, 3% started. Keep your eyes peeled. So I would talk. I'm going to skip Marvin Mims. All right, like, I'm real quick. Yeah, I'm going to skip Marvin Mims, mainly just because I like Marvin, but these guys are off this week. It's a bye week for Denver. The guy that I am going to talk about by way of numbers is Keenan Allen. So the safety blanket is real. We talked a little bit about it just in relation to Caleb Williams. The trend is right there. The targets are the key. 7, 10, 6, 8, 15, 8 targets are coming, right? That's the key. The more you target Keenan Allen, good things happen, and that's been the truth of this season. So no questions in my mind. I'm definitely starting Keenan this week in the leagues where I have him. If he's available out there, get him. Very doubtful. He's rostered in 78% of leagues and started in 50% of leagues. Definitely a good guy to talk about. The last wide receiver I'll touch base with here is, you know what? Let me just look at Trey Tucker because Deuce brought him up. Deuce might have a little bit of love for Trey Tucker. I don't know, man. Deuce, give your guy Trey Tucker some love in the chat, man. What are your thoughts? Because I don't, you know me. I'm not.
So what you want to think about when it comes to Trey Tucker and his viability for this week is what team. I don't know if any team has so far, but some team at some point or another is going to stop Brock Bowers from exploiting him, and they're going to double team him. Who gets those targets after that happens? And who's that guy?
Probably Jacoby Myers, though. That makes him at least number 3 in that list. Know what I mean?
That's what I would be thinking as far as that goes.
So okay, that's a good thought. They're playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got a pretty solid defense. That might be the situation exactly. The reality here, though, is this: pretty high targets for the guy, right? For Trey Tucker, traditionally throughout this season. He's got some pretty decent targets.
It's hard in an 8 target. It's very hard to double team tight ends, but Bill Belichick kind of wrote the script on that. You high-low them and kind of take them out the game. If you want to throw the ball to him, you're going to throw it into double covered and hope that he gets it. But at some point, somebody's going to pull that out of the hat, and then somebody else is going to get those targets.
It's got to go somewhere, right? So it's either Jacoby Myers or it's a Trey Tucker. What we're seeing here is there's been a fair amount of access for him. Deuce is saying him and Aiden O'Connell have chemistry. O'Connell could throw it deep where Pikachu couldn't. Oh, funny. All right. So, yeah, he's worth a conversation as far as Trey Tucker is concerned. If you really need a guy, he's definitely available, and so is Sterling.
Minister popped in. I ain't never seen the minister on the SuperFlex show.
What it do, Minister Charles? Always good to have you, my bro. Always good to have you on the show.
The good minister.
The good minister's in the building. Look at that. So Sterling Shepard. I like Sterling Shepard. I can't. This is just a Kedz pick. I don't know what kind of numbers he's going to put up. I think the Raiders aren't.
Number 13 is back, man. You can count that out.
I can count this out. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I like Sterling Shepard. He's one of my like little underdogs out there, man. But he has been trending up lately. A lot of target share. But if 13 is back, problems. Not going to see those numbers anymore. So there's that. That's just about That's just about the wide receiver conversation that I wanted to have. We will look at tight ends and make our way through the matchups and call it a day here, man. So tight ends, number one trend in tight end is our guy, Cole Kmet.
Early's trending. Maybe because we playing a banged up 49ers or something. I don't know. But I don't know why he's trending.
I don't have any good reason for it either.
Fred Warner hurt. Is Fred Warner hurt? I mean, that's maybe.
I think he is actually. Hold on. Didn't we talk about that?
Could be it.
Hold on. Yeah, bro. Look at that. Good catch. Good catch. So Fred Warner has been playing through a broken bone in his ankle since September. Warner said that the injury happened the first half of San Francisco in week 4. So he might be out. I think he's hurting.
There's no reason.
All right.
They have no shot at the playoffs. Why would you continue to play Fred Warner?
These are good questions. That is very interesting. If that's public knowledge, which like I just found it, I'm pretty public. You know what I mean? Thomas Brown gonna find it, and if Thomas Brown finds it, he may prioritize a Cole Kmet. And things to note. Part of my beef with this entire season, are the target numbers for Cole Kmet. One of my as a Bears fan. One of my beefs of this entire season, right? So 11 targets. Guess what happens in that game? Bears win. 5 targets on a high. Bears lose against a very tough Texans team.
I'll tell you another thing, Kedz. This is something I was trying to tell you the other day. Pass pro. We probably looking at Larry Borom as a starter on the right side again. That's not good. And so Cole Kmet might get forced to be an inline tight end again this week. So that's that.
Is Darnell Wright's hurt again?
He got put out of that last game, and we had Larry Borom at the end. He didn't. Darnell didn't come back in that game, so I would imagine that he's probably going to be iffy, if not out, this week.
Okay.
So whatever you thought Cole Kmet's number should be, I'm betting that he's going to probably be lining up in line more times than not.
More than anything else. So that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. He'll be out there on the field. Like look at that, right? He's out there. Week 1 was just crazy. I don't know what Shane Waldron was thinking. I think somebody must have yelled at Shane about it in week 2. But after that, he's been out pretty much playing every snap available. There's
Mo in here to smush your face in it.
Hey Mo, what's up? What's going on, Mo? Bear down, Mo. You. Anyways, I'm just teasing you. You Mo Fugger smacked me up this week, man. Just smacked me up. And when I say that, I'm gonna give Cole Kmet a quick "Hey, buddy," he says. Oh man, let me give Mo Fugger a little bit of real love here. So. Where are you at, Mo Fugra? Where are you at? So, yeah, biggest blowout. Mo Fugra beat Kedz the Canuck by a margin of some ridiculous numbers. What was it? How did I lose it? Highest score, 203 points this week. Lowest score was me. 112. So he beat me by almost 90 points this week, which is just
a goddamn runaway freight train, man.
Oh, just a ridiculous situation. But hopefully that does not hamper my playoff push, considering I'm only 1 point behind you, Mo. So I think I'll be all right. I'll swallow my pride for the week. It is what it is. That being said, hopefully Jameis Winston ain't doing it like that again. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Anyways. Or Brock Bowers. Back at it. So let's go back to these good old tight ends here. Yeah, I'm not so sure about Cole Kmet just because of target share. Target share might also be low this week, so be wary of Cole Kmet, even though he's the number one trending tight end out there. I think this guy's the number one trending tight end out there, and it's just because if you have either Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce, this guy'd be a really cool handcuff to have. Because if Travis doesn't do it, and Travis has been a little bit hit and miss this season, and when I say hit and miss, it's mostly just that he's not getting into the end zone quite as frequently as he usually does. This guy seems to be picking up the slack, right? So when he doesn't get in the end zone, Travis does. All things are working through the tight ends for the most part in Kansas City. So get one, get two. You got some pretty good, you got some pretty good numbers ahead of you. And then you can see them there. He trends okay, but it's all about target share. All about target share. And obviously, Travis Kelce's going to get the target share. But when he don't, it turns into tutties for the other guy. Pay attention. Good old Noah Gray. Not a bad look. This guy ain't a bad look either, but he's rostered everywhere. So good luck getting yourself a Jonnu Smith. Wow, Jonnu, 31 points against the Green Bay Packers. Ooh. Who's playing the Packers again? Detroit? Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta. This may be a big Sam Laporta week.
Well, they won't play Detroit quite the way they had to play Miami because they had to put too high shell coverage to make everything go underneath so they didn't get over the top.
Yeah, just stop.
They won't play them the same way. I mean, Detroit, they won't play them the same way.
Okay. That is good to note. But again, Jonnu Smith, decent tight end across the board. There's my guy Laporta. We'll talk about him for real in a minute. Tucker Kraft has been putting up decent numbers. I don't know what's going on in Green Bay by way of like offense. Josh Jacobs, absolute lock. Everybody else is really questionable. Romeo Dobbs, questionable. Christian Watson, questionable. Dontavian Wicks, I drafted him. He's completely disappeared off the face of the planet. When was the last time you heard the name Dontavian Wicks, King of Pop?
That offense is so diverse in the pieces that they have. It's almost impossible to you'd have to have that quarterback and just several of those pieces, a tight end, a receiver, and another receiver, in order to even give you. I mean, it's so diverse. It's probably the most diverse offense in the league right now. So it's just hard to really pick it. But Tucker Kraft is a solid start.
I think the real pick there is no. I didn't get my Lotto Max. Maybe is that tonight, Doc? Maybe I should go. I could use 80 million. I'm real short. That being said, I think the real key to this offense is your Jordan Love and or your Josh Jacobs. Everybody else is a little bit questionable to me, but the tight end seems to be getting it done. Like the trend is there, and the targets seem to be there too. If you need a tight end, might be worth your while to grab yourself a Tucker Kraft. 63% rostered, 30% started. Not quite as available as one might think. Laporta is absolutely not available anywhere. 92% rostered, 64% started. But I think he's going to have a pretty solid week against the Green Bay Packers. 15 points against the Chicago Bears this past week. It's really a question of targets. Earlier in the season, not as many targets as one would have thought. But since then, he's been averaging about five a week, which ain't bad, right? 5 targets is pretty much a 15-point game for him here and there every 2 weeks. Let's see if you can do it 2 weeks in a row. Been a rough season for Sam Laporta. I have to say, it hasn't been, it's not like his breakout rookie season, but again, he's putting up decent numbers. He's still worth the draft capital that folks invested in him. Yeah, let's look at Dalton Kincaid because I don't think anything's good happening here. Yeah, Dalton Kincaid is quite the opposite of Sam Laporta. A lot of people invested heavily in Dalton Kincaid. He's now hurt, and he just hasn't been putting up really solid numbers. So I just wanted to take a look because I definitely considered drafting him much earlier on this season, and I'm glad that I didn't. Let's see. Anything else? So let me just give me a moment here. I'm just going to take a look at the week in the NFL. We'll go through it and we'll call it a day here. All right. Just 1 second. You know what, King of Pop? Do you want to do some? You want to shamelessly plug the world?
Oh, you call it, man. We can. You want to?
Yeah, shamelessly plug the world. Give me a second there while I just pull up these matchups for the week.
Give me a minute to pull up some stuff.
Okay.
Let me see. Of course, for those who want to really, really help out the channel and really help us make some advancements, just know that $4.99 a month is all we ask for a membership. There's also we do a membership show tomorrow, some extra sauce. I'll preview that here in a minute. But also there's another show in the works that I'm planning on doing come this weekend. And for a membership, you can get in and watch that show. I think you all will like it. I've said that multiple times. For those who haven't heard me, I'm telling you, you guys are gonna want to be a part of this one. So getting a $4.99 membership, man, if you can and you're willing, we can definitely use the support. Anything that you can do will help us out, man. We got stuff we have to keep lights on around here, keep apps and technology we need to make all this stuff and make all this stuff pretty and likable, like good podcasters do. So anything you can do to help us out, but $4.99 a month for a membership would definitely go a long way with us. So just think about that if you haven't. Also, hit that subscribe button, of course, if you haven't. Smash the like if you haven't done that yet. And also, for you all, even you guys in the SuperFlexes out there, if you guys have something you want to add to the show, you talk to Kedz through Nomad Live Pod 2023 at gmail.com, and he'll respond to you. If he doesn't, I will, and I will let him know. And so if you guys are interested in coming on the show or on this one or any other show that we do, you just like the content and you like to have your say-so on it, just hit us up, man. I respond to all emails. So just know that right off the top. Also, tomorrow, some extra sauce, man. We got that coming up tomorrow. Don't know exactly what the show is going to be about. I got some ideas, some topics trending right now and some conversations. We get into it all on some extra sauce. We do everything from football, Bears football, to we might talk about the UFOs in New Jersey. You never know. That's just kind of what we do, man. So just wanted to put that out there, man. Come and join us for some extra sauce tomorrow. Guaranteed to be a really good show. We always have fun. That's what it's all about, man. Get the spirits up, have some fun. Join us on some extra sauce tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Love it. All right. So cool. So shamelessly plugged. We are going to take a quick peek at the matchups for this week in the NFL. Sharing. So we did touch on Green Bay versus the Lions already. Quick things. I have no idea who's going to win this game. Like I was about to say, the Lions are going to win this game. They probably will. It's divisional. I don't know what to call here. Let's just be real. I don't know what to call. So I'm going to leave it alone. You guys make the call as the old NFL commercial used to be, right? You make the call. This one's good. This is a straight up toss up for me. I don't know. Definitely good football game to watch, but Packers are going to make Jared Goff a problem. If the Lions can run the ball the way they can run the ball, they should win this football game. That's my 2 cents. What do you think?
If you want to win money.
Green Bay. Yeah? All right. My guy says Green Bay. Considering it's Green Bay, might be Green Bay. I can't bet on Green Bay, though. I'm just saying. It's just not something I do. The Browns. Yeah. So that's a Thursday night game. That's going to be good football this Thursday. The Browns versus the Steelers. We touched on it a little bit. I say Steelers win. Again, interdivisional situation. Who knows what happens? I still say Steelers win. I think Jameis Winston will put the ball in the sky 50 times, and there'll be all sorts of target share and lots of numbers to be shared across the board for both teams. Everybody will be happy. Steelers will get 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, and there'll be at least 2 touchdowns on the other side going the other direction. So everybody's happy.
I got the Browns in the upset. 95 is going to be too much for Russ. I'm picking the Browns.
You're picking the Browns. Crazy. Listen to this. That's good. Next up, we've got the Saints versus the New York Giants. I think everything in New York's pretty much sideways. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints in this situation, minus a Taysom Hill who was hurt. I still think Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Alvin Kamara and the gang and Derek Carr can put the darn thing down the right way. So I'm the Saints. You?
Saints.
All right. So we're in concurrence there. Jets, Dolphins. Easy. What do you think?
Jets, Dolphins. Oh, that's easy. Dolphins.
Yeah. Not much to be said there. Things are, again, we just said things are sideways in New York. It applies to both teams. So take it for what it's worth. I still think there's a possibility of Miami somehow scraping their way back into the playoffs here. It's really a question of Tua. I keep trying to do the last name thing. I'm not going to do it. Tua. If Tua's safe and he's healthy, they might be able to pull this out. So kudos to all those Dolphins fans out there and all my Florida faithful. Hopefully something good can happen here for your Miami Dolphins. Jaguars versus the Titans. Trevor Lawrence is down. I don't see good things for the Jaguars outside of running that football, which they can do. So heavy dose of running the ball with a Tank Bigsby. Get him if you can. Heavy dose of running the football with a Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne probably long gone. Doubt you can get him. So if you have a Travis Etienne and you can get a Tank Bigsby and handcuff that thing, you're doing a great little thing for yourself. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure what's going on in Titans land, but I will say that Nick Akine will see some targets as well and will put up decent numbers. I'm still saying somehow here, Titans. I hate saying it. What do you think?
I'll take the Jags.
You take the Jags? I probably should have taken the Jags. I don't know. Yeah. Falcons versus the Vikings. Excuse me. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be running for his life. I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one, and I think this is just going to be a flat-out down week for the Falcons. You?
Oh, Vikings.
Pretty straightforward on that one. Panthers versus Eagles. 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 Pretty straightforward on that one, but we did discuss it again. There should be some decent target share for an Adam Thielen if you need a wide receiver. Panthers will be behind. Bryce Young will be throwing the ball up. And I think Adam Thielen is going to be the recipient of a fair amount of those catches. So there is all of that as that safety blanket. Moving on to the Raiders versus the Buccaneers. Bucks. Raiders versus Bucks. Deuce is going to go Raiders, and I think both me and you are going to say Buccaneers in this situation. What do you think? Yeah, pretty straightforward on this one. Should be a Buccaneers win. Heavy dose of Brock Bowers once again, but if they can shut down Brock Bowers, the question is who gets the targets? Is it a Jacoby Myers? Is it a Trey Tucker? I don't know, but somebody got to get the passes. End of the day, I think the Bucs take this one home. Seattle Seahawks versus the Cardinals. This is a really good matchup.
Seahawks.
I was just going to say Seahawks, man. You know, as much as it pains me, I'm going to say Seahawks. I like what's going on there by way of offense. Geno Smith's a new guy. You know, he's a new man. That wide receiver core is a real thing. It exists and it flourishes. Jackson Smith and Jigma is finally coming into his own this season. DK Metcalf has been DK Metcalf and always will be. And our guy Tyler Lockett is a consummate third wide receiver, and he might be getting a bit long in the tooth, but his ability to play on the field hasn't slowed down whatsoever. Gotta love that guy. So great little situation. I like Kyler Murray as well, but I think it's going to be a tough week at the office for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Next up, we got the Bears versus 49ers. The Bears. I think Bears win this game.
I think they boat raced the shit out of them.
I'm kind of right there with you on this one. And again, I've the last few games I've been picking against the Bears. I'm a Bears fan. I tend not to do that, but I'm also a realist. That being said, I think this is where the tide starts to turn for the Chicago Bears, and I think a great sound win against a pretty hurt San Francisco 49ers team is on the horizon. All right. Next up, Bills versus Rams. This is Sean McVay we're talking about. Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. And I still think the Bills run ruckshot on these guys. So there's all that. Your thoughts?
It's going to be a better game than what people think. Matter of
I
fact,
think
I think the Bills get them only by 3.
Only by 3 points? I think it'll be a really good football game. I think it's a good I think there'll be a fair amount of offense and defense on both sides of this game, but I don't think there's any way the Rams can stop the Bills. That's my thoughts there. Chargers versus Chiefs. Next up. No
J.K. Dobbins. I'm going to tell you, Chiefs get this one.
This is divisional, isn't it?
Yep. They say Stafford is
Watch this. I'm gonna say the Chargers win this football game.
Okay.
All right.
Bet money on it.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No. You know what? I might just do that. Actually, I might do that. I might just do that in conjunction with a couple of the other oddball picks here. So if I went Green Bay over the Lions, and if I went Chargers over Kansas City and Browns over Steelers, I bet you I can make some real good money this weekend. I'm just saying. Crazy pick, I know, but it's because it's a divisional matchup and Harbaugh's over there now running things. You know what? I kind of have to look at something here real quick. Bear with me. We're going to go back, and we're going to look at something because they must have played already. Damn it, not really showing me what I want to see. I think they can beat the Chiefs this week. I do. I think they can beat the Chiefs. I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to stick to it.
Good luck with that.
All right. I might be alone on this one, all by myself. But that's okay. That'll make for a real slick little parlay this week, a short 3-leg, maybe a 4-leg parlay. And I'll tell you guys about it next week. Finally, we've got Bengals versus Cowboys. Who was saying it? My guy Leo Factor was saying Cowboys may upset the Bengals. Cooper Rush isn't too bad, and the Cowboys defense steps up at times. Right, they certainly do when Micah Parsons is playing like Micah Parsons plays. So the thing is, nope. That's the thing. The thing is, they're playing against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That's a thing, right? So those two guys, and not to take anything away from T. Higgins. T. Higgins just makes it even more disgusting. Offensively, this team is it's really put together nicely. So the flip side is their defense is hurting, right? Their defense is just allowing teams to put numbers up on them. And the upside for Cincinnati is they can just traditionally just put up more numbers. A few times this season, it just hasn't worked out that way for Cincinnati. I don't expect it not to work out that way this week. And this may also have a lot to do with the fact that I have Joe Burrow as my quarterback in a bunch of fantasy football leagues. So I had to check myself on that before I left you guys with that. So take it for what it's worth. This will be a good football game by way of offense. There'll be some real good numbers here for both Joe, Jamar, T. Higgins. Rico Dowdle's going to put up some real good numbers on the ground. I can see Brandon Cooks putting up decent numbers in the sky. Same with Jalen Tolbert. It should be some decent numbers. Cooper Rush is a little bit questionable, but if they fall behind deep, he's going to put up even better numbers. So he might even be a viable QB this week. Let's be real about that. That being said, I'm still going with the Bengals.
Bengals are going to beat the dirt off these guys.
There you go. You ain't even playing with it. All right. Cool. So that is week 14, you guys. Thanks a million for joining us at SuperFlex one more again. Let me give you guys a little bit of love before we get the heck out of Dodge. Starting out with Mo Fugra. My weekend was good, and then it was bad, and it was good again, and then it got bad again. So that's how my weekend was. Shout out to you, Mo Fuga. Oh, man. Shout out to Leo Factor #1. My guy Deuce1FX as well. Thanks for holding it down with us all night long, Deuce. Minister Charles Johnson, thanks for jumping in. Who else we got? Cliffy Victoria. Always good to have you, my bro. Every time I say your name, I get hungry. You always got that good eats out there somewhere. Julian Garcia, thanks for hitting us up with your questions. My guy Jim Hunter. Damn it, Jim. Jimmy was up in the building. We are at playoffs. It's week 14 here, guys. We're about to jump into playoffs. Good luck to the rest of you super flexers out there. The Nodge, Plankster, my guy King of Pop, the dude. Shout out to you in the background there, dude. Shout out to all you guys in the Super Flex League. Just saying, you know what I mean?
Crooked
Commish. Big shout outs to you too, sir. You know what I mean? Shout outs to all the Super Flexers out there, Super No Maniacs and No Maniacs. Big love to all you guys for sure. Who am I forgetting? Anybody else? We got the Crooked Commish. We got Black Rain jumped in here for a little bit. Shout outs to Black Rain. I missed you, Black Rain. Didn't see you up in there. Dennis Moody was holding it down with us. I'll get you there next time with them picks there, Dennis. But by all means, hit me up with your props questions, and I can just answer them directly and make suggestions in that respect. We can do it that way. Joseph Archer was with us for sure. Rock Davis hanging out with us. Man, love the fact that these guys are just supporting the network, supporting us. This warms my heart. And in that respect, mad love to all you guys. And mad love to Ron Winarski, too. Big shout outs to all you guys. Thanks for coming.
Minister Charles, too.
Oh, how could I miss Minister Charles? Big shout outs to you, Minister Charles, as per normal. We'll definitely be chopping it up there as we move through the week, whether it's on extra sauce, Nomad at Night. You know how it is. But one more time, week 14, that's what she looks like, y'all. And considering it all, dude, take us home.